Today I'm going to give you a little tour of the garden with the blackbird singing. Hi, I'm Robin. Welcome to Robin's Container Garden. With the weather that we've been having lately, you'd be forgiven for thinking that it was the height of summer. The daytime temperatures have been in the 20s, and the nighttime temperatures, well, except for last night, have not even gone below 10 degrees. Now I'm talking Celsius. I'll put the Fahrenheit on the screen as well. That has actually sped up a little bit of what's going on in the garden, although where I am in Scotland, we are still not quite out of that danger zone of the frost date yet, so I'm not planting things out that are not hardy until next weekend. Our temperature was 3 degrees last night, so supposed to be about 5 degrees tonight, so we're just kind of playing it by ear and seeing how things go. Most of the stuff that needs to be planted out is in the greenhouse at the moment, so it's getting that nice warm temperature, but it's kind of sort of outside. And once it goes in the ground, that's it. Once it goes in those containers, I don't have enough room in the greenhouse to put everything if we have another frost or if it gets too cold, so I have to be really careful. So this is kind of a pre-tour. I've done tours before where I've shown you where things are going to go, and this is kind of, you're getting a really good idea of where everything is going to be situated in the garden. So we're going to start around the front-ish, yeah, around the front where the bulb lasagna has been. We're going to start around here. This is where the bulb lasagna used to be, but they've all died back now. So I've cleaned this area up, and that will be some flowers that I'll transplant once they're ready to rock. So we're going to move around here. Forget the pile of stuff there. Haven't done it yet, but they are growing in the greenhouse and under grow lights. This is where the beans are going to be this year. The burlati beans are going to be on the outside in the ground, and then on the inside in the containers is going to be my dwarf French beans. Coming around to the back, this looks a little bit different than it did last year. These two large containers are going to be where the courgettes are going to be planted out, and they will go out next weekend. So that one over here looks a little bit rough, but it's going to be cleaned up. This one's ready to rock. I have decided I'm going to put all of my greens around here this year. So I've got spinach that I planted back several weeks ago now, and that is ready. We've already actually started eating that. My winter spinach is gone over. It bolted about a week ago. And in this container, I've planted some more spinach seeds. So we're gonna just kind of, once these go over, then these will be ready to rock. These two are gonna have lettuce in them. Now I planted all my dang lettuce last year all at one time, so I've decided I'm just gonna plant a few seeds of lettuce of each one of the ones that I like in these two containers, and in half of them, and then I will be putting 2 or 3 weeks later I'll be putting out some more on the other side. So it's going to kind of yo-yo back and forth all season. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how that works. These are some chamomile that came back up this spring, and they're already flowering. Look how pretty these flowers are. Aren't those lovely? They smell amazing as well. I've even got a few chives down here at the bottom. They didn't come up like I was hoping that they would, but they have come up a little bit. And I just planted some coriander or some cilantro, depending on where you live, right here just yesterday. And these are empty. They will have stuff in them, don't worry. These are my leeks, and the little mini greenhouse effect that I had planned seems to be working. Okay, they're all quite happy. They look dry, but I promise you that they're not. So we're going to go around to the west side now. Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. Look at all those potatoes. The front row is the one to the right in this video is my first earlies. Those are the Pentland Javelins. The ones in the middle are my second earlies. Those are the kestrels. And then the ones in the back, which are just now coming up because they were planted quite a bit later, those are the Picassos, and those are the main crops. So those are coming up. They just haven't caught up with the other two yet. So now we're going to come down here, and I'm going to show you my blueberry bush. And I don't know if it's working or not working. I've never grown blueberries before, and I'm thinking now that I might need a second one for cross-pollination, but it's pretty anyway. If it doesn't give me blueberries, that's okay. I'm not going to cry. Here are my carrots. They're coming up. I'm having to keep an eye on them so I can keep them thinned out. There's not very many up yet. I still have some back here still to come up. Do you remember the pak choi that I planted? That hasn't worked out very well, and it's already bolted. But look at these pretty little flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and let those flower, and I'm going to save the seeds to see what I can do with them next year. Here are some spring onions. Yes, I know I have to thin some out. I'm going to do that, I promise. Don't worry. It is going to happen. I swear. Just get off my back. This is my volunteer Aquilegia, and I've already had one flower, and it has already gone. I've got a photograph of it I'll put up. It's absolutely beautiful little thing. I don't know where I'm going to move this yet, so it will be moved, but I'm not sure yet. I think I'm going to put it, I don't know yet. We'll see. These are my onions that I grew from seed. These are Ailsa Craig and a couple of red impastas, and I think all of these are red impastas. Yeah, these are all red impastas. They're not as big as I was hoping that they would be, but they'll get there. I'm not that concerned about them. Now this over here, that is a mess. It's actually quite organized considering. These from here all the way up to where you see the green, those are empty. Now these will have tomatoes and peppers in them. I have some more containers in the house that I will be planting out. Did a count yesterday, and I have exactly the number of containers that I need for what I'm growing. These are my raspberries. They haven't started putting fruit on yet, but they look amazing. I thought I had a problem with them, but they seem to be okay. So those are the raspberries, and now we're going to go into the greenhouse. This is the greenhouse, and it is full. The plants on the ground are actually there because they got very thirsty because the greenhouse was not vented, and it got awfully hot in here. So I put them on the ground and just gave them a really, really good water. So we've got some tomatoes over here. One is Marglobe, and the other one is an Arkansas Traveler. We've got some aubergines and some peppers down here, and we even have some flowers. There's some more buds here. But look, I've got my first baby. Can you see? Oh, yeah. There's my first baby pepper. So I'm really excited about that. I've got marigolds and some cosmos and some other bits and pieces that are growing here. There's some gazanias, some zinnias, and we've got a courgette here, and we've got a cucumber there. He's already trying to put feelers out, and that's a dahlia. And let's see, what are you? You're my butternut squash. That's my butternut squash that I grew from supermarket seed. And here's my other courgette. There's some more dahlias here. And this is a kidney bean. Now this was sent to me by one of my subscribers. She actually pulled some kidney beans from some dried kidney beans that she got from the store. And I've never grown kidney beans before. I love kidney beans. I'm going to see if this works. And he looks really happy. He's going to be the first bean in the ground, I think. And then way over here is my Jack-Be Little pumpkin. Now the pumpkin, the bean, the kidney bean, the squash, and the cucumber, they're all actually going to go in the ground. But don't worry, I will actually update y'all on how things are going. But one of the things that I am going to do is I'm going to manufacture a vent window here and possibly one back here as well, because it gets too warm and too humid in the greenhouse for the plants. And although most of them will get planted out next weekend, because we had temperatures as low as 3 degrees last night, believe it or not, as warm as it's been here, I still want to make sure that they're getting the right amount of ventilation. So I'm going to be setting that up too. So that's the greenhouse. By now you guys will have already heard about the loss of our friend Steve from Green Side Up. I've watched Steve. He was one of the very first gardeners that I found on YouTube. He had a gentleness and a kindness about him that just made you want to listen to what he had to say. When I first decided to start my YouTube channel, I reached out to Steve because he felt really quite approachable. And I said, listen, I'm going to start up a YouTube channel, and I'm happy to take any tips that you have to offer. And he did. We exchanged several emails over the course of a few months, actually. Put my very first video on back in January of 2022. Steve was the first YouTube person to share my videos to his subscribers, and it was really precious to me. I was at work on Thursday when I heard of his passing, and it was really hard to get through the rest of the day, to know that someone so gentle and such a gentleman lost his battle with cancer was really difficult for a lot of us. A lot of us have reached out. A lot of us have dedicated time on videos to him, to his memory. I'm really glad that Anne, his wife, is going to allow his videos to stay up on YouTube for all of us to go back and visit with Steve whenever we're really missing him. I got home from work on Thursday and I planted some sunflowers, because if you watched a lot of Steve's videos, you heard him talk about flowers, and he loved flowers. He loved his flowers, cutting flowers and things to take home to Anne and put in his house. He loved to grow them. And I decided that afternoon I came home and I planted some sunflowers for Steve. And I'm going to call them Steve. All of them will be Steve. And I will think about him every time I look at those sunflowers this year. And I hope that they bring as much sunshine to my garden as Steve has brought to all of his viewers, all of his friends, all of his family for such a long, long time. And I watched Eli from In the Garden with Eli and Kate. I watched her video that she put out this week. And she said that she was going to dedicate a plant to Steve every year. And that actually made me think, you know, I'm going to do that with flowers. I'm going to pick a different flower every year, and I'm going to name it Steve. I'm going to dedicate that flower to Steve. So this week's video is dedicated in Steve's memory, to him, to everything that he has meant to the gardening community, every plant he's ever grown, every seed he's ever sown in so many different ways. So this is for you, Steve, and we're all going to miss you, but you will always be there in our memories. You've taught us all something new that we didn't know before. And I'm just going to close this. Instead of my normal sign-off, this week I'm going to remind you to keep your plants green side up. Farewell, Steve, until we meet again on the other side.